The 1890 census indicated the western frontier was closed. Census data showed that all of the land west of the Mississippi River was settled, presumably ending centuries of conquest. Historian Frederick Jackson Turner publicized the census data, famously describing the settlement of the West as a so-called frontier process, where immigrants became Americans by confronting and conquering what he called a virgin land. For those like future President Theodore Roosevelt, who viewed the process of Western settlement as the quintessential experience that made America exceptional and superior to other nations, the notion of a closed frontier caused great anxiety. Despite the census evidence, people could still find plenty of open Western spaces in the post-Civil War decades. Significant sections of the West remained virtually empty well into the 20th century. Between 1877 and 1900, millions of people from all points of the globe in every region of the United States moved into the West. Within the West, internal migrations reshaped the region's character, depopulating some areas and resettling others. But many of those who sought frontier opportunity in the West ended up in cities. By 1890, the vast majority of Western migrants had settled in cities like Denver, San Francisco, Los Angeles, Salt Lake City, and hundreds of towns scattered like islands in an ocean of sparsely inhabited land. And contrary to popular perception, the West was the most urban region in the U.S. and remains so today. The lure of open land, farming, and remote mines scattered people throughout the West, but environmental and economic forces drew them together again in cities. Denver and San Francisco were so-called instant cities that grew from tiny outposts to booming metropolitan areas in less than a decade and boasted all the luxuries of Eastern society. These cities grew so quickly because of changing post-Civil War migration patterns. After the Civil War, patterns changed for several reasons. Railroads made foreign and internal immigration far easier. Internal migration also increased with rapidly expanding regional railroad networks. Economic downturns, environmental disasters, and an influx of new immigrants who lowered wages and often raised prejudices in other regions pushed internal and foreign migrants to the West. In 1877, tens of thousands of African American exodusters, fleeing rising racial violence at the end of military Reconstruction, migrated from the South to the West, founding new towns and joining other workers and entrepreneurs hoping for a new start. All of them were pulled by the lure of new opportunities and moved frequently to take advantage of emerging markets and employment. Women moved with their families and on their own, and contributed a disproportionate amount of the daily labor required to establish businesses, homes, towns, and communities across the West. Women's diaries of migrations reveal much of what historians know of daily life in the history of settlement. European and Euro-American women responsible for inhabiting a little-understood region faced environmental challenges that Native American women had known for thousands of years. Mobility was a key characteristic of the global economy in the 19th century. The American frontier experience was not unique. So-called settler societies in South America, Australia, and Canada also depended on significant internal and external migrations to solidify control of vast territories and negotiate with or displace indigenous peoples ahead of state-sponsored efforts. But no destination compared to the U.S. and the astounding diversity of immigrants pouring into a region already incredibly multicultural. There were many melting pots around the globe, but these melted just 2 or 3 predominant immigrant groups. In the U.S., and in the West in particular, immigrants from virtually everywhere lived together with thousands of Native Americans, freed slaves, Hispanics of many origins, Asians, and Euro-Americans of all types. The existence of a highly mobile, multicultural workforce enabled the astonishingly rapid rise of the West from periphery to center. Mobility and diversity were powerful engines of change that benefited the economy and nation. This combination of forces, however, provided exceptional opportunities for some individuals and groups, while crushing and dividing others.